I've often been asked a simple question: how did you get here? People usually expect an answer filled with milestones, job titles, companies, awards, or anything else that I've done that is very differentiating. But if I'm honest, my journey has never really been about any of those. It's always been about curiosity. Curiosity has been the quiet force behind every decision I have made. It's made me ask questions when everyone else accepted answers. It made me read what was required. It made me look beyond what was visible. And that's how I've been even as a child. Long before I entered maybe, the boardrooms or getting a seat at the table, before I stood on a stage, before I wrote my first book, I was simply someone fascinated by people, why they think the way they do, why do they behave like this, why do people with a different upbringing achieve the same result, why some ideas inspire action while others disappear unnoticed, why some people listen to someone but don't listen to the others. Looking back, I realize that I was just preparing for a way of seeing the world and not necessarily just a career. And of course, my parents gave me the greatest gift of education, freedom. They always encouraged me to read more, to just talk to people, explore. So for me, it was not just about education in the classroom, but learning from people by observation, from failures, from books, from conversations, from life itself. And that belief stayed with me because the more I learned, the more I realized how much there was still to learn. Over the last almost 3 decades, my career has taken me across industries, organizations, and challenges. From technology to healthcare, from global brands to purpose led initiatives, every role has taught me something new about business and even more about people. Working across different industries was never just a change of role for me. It was always about transitioning to learn something new. It's like learning a new language, going away to some new geography, because a different industry has its own learning curve. Uh, but it has its advantages also being in a function like marketing because it's pretty fungible in that sense. But new customers, new markets, new expectations. And every time I entered a new industry, a new job, I had a choice: rely on what I already knew or become a student again. I mean, one of my bosses actually told me, don't quote what you've done in the past or in the previous role of sorts. That actually, because I at that point in time thought I was talking about what was successful and what I did very successfully. But that comment actually changed something in me, and I realized that what got you here can never get you somewhere else. Right? So I chose to, kind of not rely on what I already knew, but keep learning. And that decision has kind of stayed with me through my career. It reminded me that expertise should never replace curiosity, because the day we stop learning is the day we stop leading as well. People often describe me as a marketeer, the role that I'm known as, but of course, I'm very passionate about that as well. And I appreciate that. But I've never believed that marketing is simply about selling products. To me, it has always been about understanding human behavior. Every purchase tells a story, every decision carries emotion, every brand earns trust before it earns revenue. The best marketing is never manipulation, it is empathy. Knowing, understanding, listening carefully enough to understand what people truly need. That belief eventually became the foundation of my work. Whether I was building brands, whether I was leading communications, creating campaigns, or shaping strategy, I was always asking the same question: what matters to the person on the other side? What businesses grow through numbers, but brands grow through relationship. Leadership entered my life almost naturally, not because I wanted authority, but because I loved building teams. Very early in my career, I realized something very important. Projects end, campaigns end, targets are achieved, but people stay with you. The conversations you have, the confidence you build, the opportunities you create for someone else, those become your real legacy. And you take any good leader for that, as an example, and you will see that these are the characteristics that they have built over the years, over a foundation of being very humble as well. One of the biggest lessons in my career actually didn't come from any successful campaign, it came from a difficult one. Like every leader, I worked on projects that didn't go exactly as planned. There were moments when timelines slipped, expectations changed, or outcomes were different from what we had hoped for. Earlier in my career, I thought leadership meant always having the right answer. And I would sometimes hesitate to even give out any answer because I didn't want to be wrong. Over time, I realized something much more important. People don't expect perfection, they expect honesty, they expect clarity, they expect someone who will stand with them when things become difficult. Those experiences taught me that trust is built far more during uncertainty than during success. Today, I don't see failure as something to avoid. I think it's become part of everyday journey, part of my career, part of my life. And I see it as one of the greatest teachers as a leader can have. It might sound very cliched, but that's what all of us experience, and that's the truth of life. Some of the achievements I value the most are not the awards that sit on a shelf. Uh, they are the people who tell me, you believed in me before I believed in myself. You gave me a second chance. You understood what I was going through and let me be. So nothing compares to hearing someone say that they became a better leader, became a better person because of something we built together. And that to me is leadership, not creating followers, creating more leaders. Over the years, I've had the privilege of being recognized with industry awards and honors. They're, of course, deeply meaningful, but I've learned that recognition is never the destination. It is simply encouragement to keep raising the bar for yourself, your teams, and the profession you represent. At some point in my journey, another question began to grow inside me. What happens to everything we learn? Experiences value when only when it is shared, and knowledge becomes meaningful only when someone else can use it. That question led me to writing, doing my podcast, and sharing it over different forums. I never wrote because I wanted to become an author alone. I wrote because I wanted conversations to continue long after I had left the room or when I don't even know I was reading my book. People often assume writing a book begins with confidence. For me, it began with doubt. I wondered whether my experiences would matter to anyone else, whether people would find value in the lessons I had learned over the years. But I also realized something. Knowledge kept to ourselves has very little impact. So I wrote, not because I believed I had all the answers, but because I believed that honest experiences could start meaningful conversations. My first book explored the changing world of marketing and marketing as an untold story. It challenged traditional thinking and encouraged marketers to see beyond categories and channels. Then came another journey, a journey into something I've always believed. The curiosity and the decisions are rarely driven by logic alone, and they are driven by emotion. And that belief became the power of emotional marketing for me. And one of the greatest joys of writing is receiving message from readers, not because they praise the book, but because they tell me that I tried something differently. I'd never thought about marketing this way. Your words helped me become a better leader. That's when I realized books don't end when they're published. They begin a dialogue. Speaking became another extension of that same purpose. Whether I'm addressing business leaders, students, young professionals, or entrepreneurs, my goal is never simply to deliver information, it is to leave people with a question they cannot stop thinking about. If one conversation changes one decision, that conversation was worthwhile. Yet, if there is one place that has transformed me more than any corporate office, it is the classroom. Teaching reminded me that potential exists everywhere. Confidence, of course, does not, but many students already possess extraordinary ability. What they often lack is someone who says or tells them, "You can, you have the power to." Watching a hesitant student speak with confidence for the first time, seeing curiosity replace fear, seeing possibility replace self doubt, those moments redefine success for me. And teaching is not about transferring knowledge, it's about unlocking belief. And mentoring is similar. And that belief became even meaningful through my work with a foundation and working alongside young women discovering technology, artificial intelligence, education. Innovation has reminded me that talent is universal, opportunity is not. What they need is not permission to dream. They need access, they need mentorship, they need exposure. Someone willing to open a door or point them saying that there is a door there. Every time one of them says, "I didn't know I could do this," I'm reminded why this work matters. Because sometimes changing a life begins with something very simple: belief. As I've grown older, my definition of success has changed. Earlier, success looked like reaching the next milestone. Today, success looks very different. It is seeing team members become exceptional leaders, students discovering confidence, meeting readers who tell me an idea stayed with them, seeing young women build futures they once believed were impossible. Knowing that something I created continues to help people I may never meet, that is success for me. Because impact travels much farther than achievement. Mm. As careers progress, people naturally ask about achievements, the roles you have led, the organizations you have worked with, the awards you've received. Those things matter, but they're not what I hope people remember. I hope they remember how I made them feel, whether I helped them think differently, whether I gave them confidence, whether I opened a door, whether I listened. If someone becomes a better leader because our paths crossed, then I've succeeded. Because the most meaningful legacy isn't built through titles, it's built through people. If there is one lesson my journey has taught me, it is this: life is not actually a straight line, it's a collection of different kinds of lines, lines that open possibility. The possibility becomes a different chapter altogether. It's about, it's a combination of what you read, what you learn, the questions you ask, the answers you receive, and how curious you remain, right? And the best stories are never about the ones about personal success. I feel that I'm still writing my story, not because I'm chasing another title, but because there are still people to learn from, ideas to explore, lives to touch. If my journey stands for anything, I hope it is this: that leadership is not about standing among others, it's about walking beside them. It's about helping them see what they're capable of, encouraging them to dream bigger than they imagined. Because our greatest achievement is not what we built for ourselves, it's what continues to grow in others long after we've gone. And for me, that is only the beginning of the next chapter. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to seeing everyone.